Good Tuesday to you, and welcome to Ag AM in Kansas. Stay tuned for some great features.
Today, Brian Holman talks with Chad Bullock at Premier Farm and Home about fall lawn fertilization. Next, Eric Atkinson visits with Dave Lauman, an extension beef cattle specialist with Oklahoma State University, about matching production levels to environmental conditions. Then we learn from the most recent National Beef Quality Audit about a growing number of consumers who prefer flavor over tenderness in their beef. And finally, in our Healthy Yard segment, see how to incorporate compost into your garden.
Closed captioning brought to you by Kansas Soybean Commission. The Soybean Checkoff Progress, powered by Kansas farmers.
This segment is brought to you by Tarwater Farm and Home. Come on by, we'll treat you like family.
Good morning, welcome back to the show. We're out at Premier Farm and Home, and we're joined by Chad. It's good to see you.
Hey Brian, how you doing?
Okay, we've got two types of fall grass people. We've got people who are going to overseed.
Right.
I'm one of those.
I'm one of those.
There you go. And we've got people who have maintained a healthy yard, maybe have got good shade and kept their yard watered.
I got one of those too here.
I know.
The
plots
good,
are
so
awesome.
I've got one of those yards too. Yeah.
And so let's talk about the people who are in pretty good shape and managing that turf getting into winter and coming into spring.
Okay, well, in the fall time frame, what we're looking for is a good dose of nitrogen to the yard. So nitrogen is the first number. When you look at that fertilizer bag, there'll be 3 numbers there. That first number is nitrogen. Now, as you look at that bag, you may think, oh, well, whatever that number is, that's what I need, the first one. But when you look at those bags, also consider things like whether or not it's coated, whether or not it has any of the other 2 in it, and what ratios those might be. And just kind of make sure you're reading the labels so that you understand completely what the product is.
What about time release? I mean, the way the summer's been, we could have a wet fall.
Right.
And having lots of rain, is that going to vary on what we should put down?
Right. There's several different types of slow releases that they'll use. The most common one is they'll have something called SCU, which is sulfur-coated urea. And what they do is they take an oxidized coating of sulfur and put it around a urea particle. And then when it gets chipped or the microbes eat that sulfur, then it releases it. So you have this delay as far as when it comes out. Now the next step to that is they'll take a polymer coat and put it over it, then coat it with sulfur, and we call that polymer coated sulfur-coated urea. That's the next step up in quality as far as that goes, and gives you even an extended period of time. So when you look at these coatings, just remember that the whole thing's not going to be coated. It's just going to be a portion of it's coated. So you will still have that quick green or that quick result, but then there'll also be another half that's there later to help you out.
And what number should we be looking for?
Really on the bag, somewhere in that 30s time frame, is what we're looking to, like a 3238 or a 3200, 3000, something like that. It's kind of where we're the right amount of nitrogen compared to the other one. Should be at least 3 to 1 to the other stuff. I don't mind it if they have potassium in there. That's also helps you with stress and water movement, which could be important when we're trying to store food here. But just make sure that you have more nitrogen than the rest of the numbers when you go into fall.
Now, should we kill crabgrass if we've got it around? Do we want to fertilize crabgrass this time of the year, or?
Yes, it's fine too, because it's going to die when it frosts. So as we get later into the fall, we're going to wave that crabgrass goodbye, whether you spray it or not. If you're impatient like me or Brian, we know Brian's impatient, you can go right ahead and touch it up right now with some post-emergent type crabgrass herbicides.
People maybe have a mixture of grasses, some shade, some sun type. Right. What about rate of putting it down? Should we be worried about that, or we just cover it same rate?
As long as they're under cool season, for what you lose in shade type grasses, if you have like a creeping red fescue, that sort of stuff, don't worry, the tree takes up the rest of it, because when you're in there fertilizing both trees and turf, your requirements for fertility are higher because you have that huge tree there that's also taking nutrients. So they pretty well balance out as long as we're talking about cool season grasses.
Perfect. Want to remind you, heycow.com, if you have any need to want to get a hold of Chad, or if you want to see replay of this episode or any that we've done in the last 3.5 years, you can see them on heycow.com, or you can see them on Ag AM in Kansas. And Chad, it's good to see you.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
Valley Vet Supply.
Tar Waters has what you need for all seasons for around the farm and home. Working, hunting, growing, feeding, snow removal, even fun for the kids. and a service department with experienced techs to help keep your equipment in top running condition. Tar Waters has a huge selection and the best prices. Tarwater Farm and Home, family owned and operated since 1978. They have what you need.
This hog is head over hoof for meal made from U.S. soybeans. Now, one hog isn't that impressive, but suppose we add another, and another, and another. Before long, you've got billions of hungry customers around the world all clamoring for the same thing. Our soybeans. Learn more about the billion-dollar appetite of animal agriculture at BeyondTheElevator.com. Brought to you by America's soybean farmers and their checkoff.
The Kansas State University College of Veterinary Medicine is a leader in food animal research and education. Our researchers are constantly expanding the knowledge of animal health and food safety. Through the Veterinary Health Center and the Kansas State Veterinary Diagnostic Lab, we provide practical services for animal producers. Home of the Beef Cattle Institute, the college is committed to animal welfare training and research. The Kansas State University College of Veterinary Medicine, knowledge and service for the future of animal production.
Purple Wave is a proud supporter of the Kansas FFA through the Bid for Blue program. Purple Wave donates a portion of the proceeds earned on certain ag assets to the Kansas FFA. Winning bidders can designate a Kansas chapter to receive the donation. To date, Purple Wave is proud to have donated over $10,000. Visit purplewave.com to learn more and to place bids on Bid for Blue assets. Purple Wave Auction. Straight, simple, sold.
This segment is brought to you by the Kansas Association of Wheat Growers and the Kansas Wheat Commission. Together, we are Kansas Wheat.
Kansas State University, as you well know, hosted the 2013 Beef Conference at K-State, and he was invited to address a topic that could not be more pertinent, and that is matching cow herd production to, well, the environmental conditions in a general sense. To be more specific there, forage resources, which have been, to say the least, quite spare for too many producers here in the last couple of years. We welcome Dave Lallman, a native Kansan, by the way, from southeast Kansas. Dave, there are some misperceptions about where we are in cow-calf production and some of the targets we set as we go about our productivity in this sector, that in times when forage resources are so tight can get a producer into trouble. That was kind of the theme you were working with, right?
Yes, it was. If you look at the different, we'll just call them farm management databases that are available. Today we looked at 3 different ones, Kansas, North Dakota, and then a combination data set from Texas, New Mexico, and Oklahoma. Those 3 different data sets actually show very little to no improvement in calf weaning weights in commercial cow-calf operations. So the context there, I think, is operations that run with or operate with low inputs. They don't spend a lot of money on, say, supplement or try to minimize hay feeding and so on. And then if you look at weaning rate in those same 3 data sets, it basically shows no improvement since the early 1990s in that very, very important characteristic as well. And so that's concerning.
That data took quite a few producers aback as they listened in the audience. What does that say about our genetic advances and targets in the past several years before there's been so much stress on growth, on milk production, and so forth?
Well, there have been a lot of very obvious genetic improvements. I mean, if you look at the reduction in dystocia, for example, birth weight and calving ease in females, tremendous improvement. You look at the tremendous improvement in carcass quality and so on. But when it's difficult to measure commercial cow-calf, we'll just say efficiency, and then we're going to obviously include weaning weight and calving rate as very important components of that efficiency, math, I guess. And so with those not having improved, it just tells me that probably what we have done is maybe overshot the ability of our forages to sustain or increase those characteristics, and particularly, let's just say, calf weaning weight, and which goes along with milk production.
We started using Multimin about 4 years ago. We started out first in our own cow herd and our own replacement heifer program, just to see how it'd work, experiment with it. We don't like to put a new product out there with our clients unless we've tried it ourselves or there's a lot of data behind it that we like. We had really good results with it our first year, really are happy with the way things worked. So we decided to start using it in our clients, and we have been now for 3 years, and I would say 90 to 95% of our clients use Multimin.
At Wildcat Feeds, the only feed that matters is yours. We'll help you manage your feed costs with our custom blended nutrition. For more information, visit us online at wildcatfeeds.com and call us today for our current mineral specials.
Soil is the life of a farm, and for 25 years, SureCrop Liquid Crop Nutrition has helped growers produce abundant quality crops while preserving and improving the soils they steward. SureCrop offers complete soil and plant analysis with cropping recommendations, delivery direct to your on-farm storage, and quality crop nutrition custom blended for your field. Choose SureCrop for the assurance of excellence for your soil. Call today or visit their website for more information. This segment brought to you by the Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff Progress, powered by Kansas farmers.
And you did, in your presentation, put this in a historical context, that the pendulum, as you put it, swings back and forth, has over time, and this is another swing of the pendulum that is potentially leading to some concerns in the industry.
It certainly could be. Yes, in the 30s and 40s, a lot of folks would remember or seen pictures of really small frame cattle that are excessively fat. In the 70s and 80s, we swung right through the middle of the pendulum in that change, and we wound up with extremely large frame cattle. Today, from a frame size standpoint, we're back down to moderate frame size cattle. And so yes, the suggestion here today to these commercial cow-calf operations was that from a milk production standpoint, a genetic potential for post-weaning growth, and maybe even muscle, we may be reaching too far if you consider the ability of a commercial cow to make her living primarily on your forage resource.
Then how does a producer, a cow-calf, a commercial operator, determine where that ideal or close to ideal match is of productivity and then therefore profitability, while still being able to achieve those with X amount of forages, and when those forages are in fact limited?
And that is the difficult question. I mean, that is the difficult balance to achieve. I think probably what we have done is gradually modified, I'll call it modified the environment. In other words, we have gradually increased the length of the hay feeding season. We have gradually increased the amount of supplement we provide. We may have gradually increased the stocking rate so that the cows can select a better quality diet. Those are all modifications to the environment. I think in order to achieve optimum, what producers probably need to consider is resisting increasing those inputs. And so maybe not be as afraid to let cows fail from a reproductive standpoint. And you know, you couldn't afford to only have half of your cows bred in 1 year. That would be a very extreme move. If you remove so much of the supplement or hay fed or whatever so that your cows are too thin and they didn't breed back, that would be pretty extreme. But if you just reduced the hay feeding season somewhat, if you just backed off a little bit in the amount of supplement so that the cows are having to rely at least slightly more on the forage resource and less on the expensive inputs, there will be a few more cows fail because they can't cut it. And if we were to do that over a period of time, eventually I think we would get to the type of animal, or closer to the type of animal that's closer to the optimum that you mentioned.
But you would adjust in this way in a stair-step fashion, not in a dramatic fashion or just a stark fashion that will put you in harm's way economically right away.
Absolutely, yeah. I don't think people want to go out here and yank the rug out from under them and wind up with a drastic situation. But and then the other obvious thing that they can do, and I think we need to be considering, is not continuing to allow that pendulum to swing. For example, we talked about the sort of never-ending arms race for growth that the cattle industry is in right now. And I think actually when you look through the literature, there are some potential drawbacks to that from a commercial cow-calf standpoint. It appears like that may increase those animals' maintenance requirement over time. And so I think we need to resist the temptation to let the pendulum swing and aim for the hat band again, and maybe use more moderation in the cows in terms of growth and get the growth from the bull.
Very timely message, to say the very least, and an important one for the cow-calf sector. And thanks for sharing it at the Beef Conference, Dave. Dave Lallman with some ideas on matching cow production levels to available forage resources. Thoughts that he shared during that presentation. And this is Agriculture Today.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
Valley Vet Supply.
Welcome to the Topeka Room of the Shawnee County Public Library. This room is dedicated to local history, local authors, Kansas history, and is just a treasure trove of information and good literature. I'm Deb Beisel, your co-host for Around Kansas, and I'm very proud to be part of this room in many ways. I want to point out a few of the works that I have here. One of them is The Civil War in Kansas, which just came out last year, and that's an overview of the 10 years of turmoil that divided Kansas and Missouri. The Day Dixie Died, written with Tom Goodrich, is the aftermath of the Civil War in the South, and it's a pretty depressing book, honestly, but it's very good history and very little-known history. Likewise, The Darkest Dawn was the aftermath and the impact of the Lincoln assassination on the country. It's a very important book. I'm real pleased to have been part of that. Kansas Forts and Bases just came out earlier this year, and my co-author was my good friend Michelle Martin. And that's not just how big these bases were or how long they lasted. It's the stories of the people who served there and continue to serve today. So please come to visit the library, stop in the Topeka Room, pick up one of these, or you may find those at any of your local book outlets or online, of course, and you can find me on Facebook. I'd be happy to visit with you some more.
And now here's another gardening tip with Dave Jackson.
The secret to a dark, green, lush, healthy lawn begins with testing your soil for proper pH and fertility, planting high-quality, weed-free seed, and applying the correct fertilizers and herbicides at the proper time. Let Jackson's and Fertilome products help you succeed with your lawn.
Our Tri-Power Turf Type Fescue is 100% weed-free and on sale now. Stop in for answers to all your lawn questions and get a great deal on our Tri-Power and new lawn starter.
Innovation is being driven in places you might not expect by people like Brent Hayek, an Oklahoma family farmer, who recently set a world land speed record in a Ford Super Duty pickup truck powered by renewable B20 biodiesel. Advanced performance is here, now, putting America on the fast track to more jobs and energy independence. Biodiesel, America's advanced biofuel.
This segment is brought to you by Santa Fe Trail Meats in Overbrook. Stop by or visit us at sftmeats.com.
Beef is known for its flavor, yet the industry may need to spend more time focusing on it. The most recent National Beef Quality Audit points out flavor's growing importance with consumers.
We all know that palatability is important, and when we say palatability, it's tenderness, juiciness, and flavor. But the one interesting piece that I think came from the audit is if you ask those closest to the consumer, retailers and food service, restaurateurs, they tell you that flavor is more important than tenderness. And if you ask everyone else in the industry, they think tenderness is more important than flavor. And so I think it gave us some insight on what factors we maybe need to focus on. And we've done so much research over the years on tenderness that now it's time to do some flavor research and maybe combine the two and figure out where we need to go from here to make sure we're meeting consumer demands.
Previous research has shown that USDA quality grades do a good job of predicting all three of those palatability traits.
as you improve quality grade, you see the odds of having an unpleasant eating experience go down. And the reason for that is twofold. I mean, if you think of the two main factors, tenderness and flavor, now from the audit, we know that as we increase fat in that product, we're going to increase tenderness. We're going to improve palatability. We're going to improve shear force values. And so it's going to be more tender. It's going to be easier for them to chew. At the same time, that fat also gives it flavor.
So what does that mean for the beef industry's customers?
And so if they can look at quality grade and if they can figure out what cut they want based on what they're going to do with that cut, that's going to give them a home run.
To learn more about which beef cuts respond best to different cooking applications, visit www.certifiedangusbeef.com. I'm Cindy Campbell.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
Valley Vet Supply.
This is the fast track to more jobs and America's energy independence. Advanced performance is here, now. Biodiesel, America's advanced biofuel.
Tallgrass Commodities offers producers bulk commodities at a reasonable price with reliable service throughout the whole Midwest. To find out more about Tallgrass Commodities, visit tallgrass.us or call 785-494-8484.
Dr. Dan here. Whether I'm driving up and down the roads covering the state of Kansas or I'm getting between Riley and Manhattan for my job, I'm driving a Ford truck. I'd like you to come out and visit my friends here at Dick Edwards Ford. They have a truck that'll suit your needs, whether you're looking for power with a Power Stroke diesel or if you're looking for fuel efficiency with the new EcoBoost engine, they got a truck that's just right for you. They're located 2 miles east of the Town Center Mall in Manhattan, Kansas, and they'll bend over backwards to help you. And I'll see you down the road.
Ag AM in Kansas is brought to you in part by Premier Farm and Home. Stop by or visit us at heycow.com.
So you built your backyard compost bin. You've had success. You've turned your leaves, your food scraps into that black gold that's just wonderful for our Kansas soils. So now the question is, what do you do with it after you have it? Well, compost is the best thing you can add to our native Kansas soils to help break up that heavy clay structure that we have. Clay soils just tend to have all these negative parts about them. They tend to be very wet when it rains under our Kansas rainstorms. And then of course when it doesn't dry, well, you could carve them into bricks and build a house. To me, the best use of the compost is to work it directly into the soil to help improve that structure. Keep in mind our roots grow 6-8 inches or more, so we want to spade that in to that depth to get a nice deep root zone. You could add compost in the fall to our vegetable gardens. That's the ideal time because as you're preparing in the fall, you can coarse spade, work the compost in, let it break down over winter, and then come March, April, you're ready to plant your vegetables. As far as for the annual flower garden, same thing. The frosted annuals can come out, spade the soil, add the compost, you're ready for next spring. When you're working compost into the soil, you probably need to add a minimum of 1 to 4 inches. Now I know that's a fairly wide range, but the more you can put in, the better it is. It may take several years of continual adding compost to really get that rich, loamy soil that we see in garden magazines and books. Another use for compost is to use it as a top dress. A 1 to 3 inch layer of compost around those plant materials can help control moisture, cool the soil, keep weeds down, and then it eventually works into the soil to help improve the soil. Compost, like I said, it's black gold. It helps take those Kansas clays and turn them into that lush growing media we dream about at night.
For more information, visit your local extension office or visit our website at kansasgreenyards.org.
Closed captioning brought to you by Kansas Soybean Commission. The Soybean Checkoff Progress, powered by Kansas farmers.
We'll have lots more for you tomorrow here on Ag AM in Kansas. We're here every weekday, same time, same station. Or look for us on the web at agaminkansas.com. Eric Atkinson here from K-State Research and Extension.